All right, we're finally at the headliner. Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw for the flyweight championship. And this is a fucking great fight. I was calling for Demetrius Johnson to fight TJ for a long time. And this is probably, it would have been a bigger fight, I think, because of the run that Demetrius Johnson was on had he been able to beat Cejudo. But this is a great fight nonetheless. I mean, Henry Cejudo, youngest Olympic gold medalist in U.S. history. Just upset who is widely considered the greatest of all time in Demetrius Johnson in a war. I mean, in a great fight. It was, he came out in the first round, rolled his ankle, had to switch to southpaw for, almost the entire round. You could see he was starting to get it back a little bit at the end of the first, moving around on it a little better. But majority of that first round was spent fighting out of a stance that he doesn't fight out of very often. And, Demetrius, he didn't get as aggressive as I thought he would when that happened. I thought when that happened, I'm not kidding, I was sitting there watching, I was like, oh, fucking fight's over. There's no way that Cejudo's going to be able to keep up with Demetrius if he's compromised. But I don't know. I don't know what it was that made Demetrius not. He was pushing him forward and stuff, but I just didn't think he was aggressive. I think he should have attacked more. I think he should have been mixing things up and getting after it because I think Cejudo was compromised. He couldn't put weight on that foot. And, they go back and forth winning a couple rounds. Like, Cejudo would win the second, and then I think Demetrius won the third, and then Cejudo won the fourth, and the fifth was fucking close. I thought Demetrius outstruck him for the first. I thought Demetrius, over the course of the fight, outstruck Henry most of the time. But I think the difference is there were never any moments where Demetrius controlled Cejudo. Because Cejudo was landing in some of those exchanges too, like some nice right hands and some kicks sometimes, you know what I mean? Like he was getting off in those, but just not as often as Demetrius. But there were moments in the fight where Cejudo would control Demetrius. No matter how long it was, whether it was for 5 seconds, he would, you know what I mean? He would land something and do something to control him and manipulate him. And I think that was the difference in the fight. I thought he deserved to win the fight. I thought it was razor fucking thin. I thought it was a great fight, but I thought Cejudo did just edge it out. Thought he deserved the win. And he's a testament to, what someone who could apply everything that it takes to win an Olympic gold medal, he applies it to martial arts, right? Look how far his striking has come. And, he can stand in that wide stance because he has such a strong wrestling base. And I think that wrestling base is going to be important when he fights TJ Dillashaw because if you look throughout TJ's, granted, he knocked Cody out, who's a phenomenal boxer. But I feel like, especially in the second one, Cody wanted that knockout back so fucking bad. I thought he could have fought a more patient fight and countered TJ a little bit because TJ's an aggressive motherfucker. And if you look at what Garbrandt did to Cruz, he just, the reason that the Cruz and TJ Dillashaw matchup is so interesting, but also why their fight was so close is because Dominic Cruz is constantly dancing around and moving away and, ducking his head this way and going that way and doing all these different funky ass movements. He's got amazing footwork and he's very hard to hit. And TJ's aggressive. And when he's marching forward like that, he's missing with a lot of shots and he's got to keep pushing the pace and he's whiffing, and, but with Cody just stood in the fucking pocket and let Dom dance around and forced him to come in. And when he did, he just countered. And his hands are lightning fucking fast. This is a tough fucking fight to pick. I think TJ overall has more tools and uses them better. I think he's got great kicks. He's got great movement. He's got great endurance. One of the things that's going to be important in this fight, though, and maybe I'm like nitpicking. Maybe this isn't as big a deal as I'm going to make it out to be, but one of the most parts of TJ Dillashaw's game plan is changing levels. He'll hit you up top with stuff. He'll go to the body. He'll shoot a takedown. And I think that Cejudo is a little bit smaller than him, and he's denser, and his center of gravity is going to be a little bit lower. Oh, and yeah, he's a fucking gold medalist in Olympic freestyle wrestling. I think taking that away from TJ, and it's not that TJ doesn't have great Muay Thai, don't get me wrong, but I think that taking that aspect of the game away from TJ makes this fight extremely interesting because I think Cejudo's takedown defense is going to be on point. And if you look at like TJ when he fought guys like John Lineker, Granted, John Lineker is very heavy-handed. TJ's always fights brilliantly, right? But he relies on taking down. I mean, he's got great timing on his takedowns. He sets them up very well. They're not telegraphed. Nothing that TJ does is telegraphed. But the question is, can he do it against an Olympic caliber wrestler like Cejudo? And I think Cejudo's defense is going to hold up, and it's going to force him into some striking exchanges. And I think that it might allow Cejudo to start implementing some of his takedowns. When he does that, that's when he can take the fight over. The problem, though, is that TJ is aggressive and he's extremely talented on the feet. Like, what I just laid out was probably Cejudo's path to victory, right? Like, he's got to hope that his wrestling holds up. TJ can't change levels on him, and he's got to push forward and land his own takedowns. I don't like TJ I don't like Henry Cejudo in a stand-up war in this fight. I think TJ's too fucking aggressive and he's too good and his movement's too fluid. I'm taking TJ Dillashaw to win this fight. I think he's going to knock him out in like the third. And, I could see Cejudo winning the fight. It's not like this is like, to me, I say this about a lot of fights, but this is a close-ass fight. I mean, this is a coin flip fight. But I feel like at some point, TJ is going to expose something in his striking because he's going to be, Henry Cejudo is a big 125er, but TJ I think is going to be a little bit bigger. And I think his aggressiveness is going to, it's going to open some things up, and it's going to be a lot for Henry to deal with on the feet. I don't think he's ever seen a style like TJ's. And, I think, like I said, it's tough. I could see Henry winning this fight for sure, but I just feel like TJ's aggressiveness more than anything is going to win him this one. Close fucking fight.